Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for joining me for our YouTube series on self-publishing. Your official bio is below the video for anyone interested, but would you mind telling us a bit about yourself in your own words?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Taryn. I am a 30 plus year married, middle-aged empty nester, and I have 5 children, 4 daughters and 1 son right in the middle. And they range in age from 22 to 35. And what else? I have 8 grandchildren now. So I'm just a debut author, independently publishing The Quickening, Overcomers Book One and I use Typewriter Creative Company, which I've been very pleased with. And I don't know what else I would say. I guess that's about it.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And so I know when your book published, but why don't you share that with our viewers?
I would love to. It was June 19th, and it was a great process. And I kind of did a little backwards than I meant to, but that's okay. I'm learning. As I said, I'm a debut author, so there's so many technical things to figure out. And so I'm still in the process of my book launch right now, actually.
Awesome. That's great. So everything is fresh in your mind.
Yes. Yes, it is fresh.
Perfect. So why don't we just start with you walking us through what led you to decide to self-publish this book?
Okay. I don't have any formal training in writing other than a few college classes and, stuff in high school that I love to do. And so I did math and sciences was what I really got into. And I loved the organic chemistries and chemistries, biochem, genetics, all that stuff. That was like what I loved to eat up. And so I have a writer mom who asked me to join her for NaNoWriMo in 2010. And so I was like, okay, this would be a fun thing to do with her. We could bond, over further because she is a writer. She's a published writer. And she wrote a historical fiction novel that was published by Crossway Books, one of my favorites in my top 10. And so when she and I did that together, I just thought, okay, I'm going to park perfection at the door and just dive into something I know nothing about. I know nothing about dialogue. I had a germ of an idea of what the story could be about, and that was about it. And so that was in 2010, as I said, and it took me 10 years to write the story, a midlife, because I would park it for a year. I would park it for months at a time and then come back to it. And what started out with 4 characters just grew into many characters, and it just took on its own life and its own thing. I didn't know what I was doing. But anyway, it was really fun. And so in 2021, during COVID, I joined ACFW and I joined Hope Writers, which is just a great writing community to help you say, yes, you can do this. If you have an interest in writing, you're probably a writer. And you can, there's just so much support within that community. And I think that's how I met you, Taryn, or heard about you, and several other writers that have just been so instrumental in helping me and helping me find my voice. And in 2021, like I said, my son had a near fatal car accident and ended up back in our home for a few months. And so we had worked through all of that, and he had got returned back to work, and it was in the fall. And I just thought, now is the time I get to invest in my craft of writing and start learning and finding my voice. And what is my voice? And so I call that kind of the year of permission. Was 2021, was to put time into something that I was interested in, put money into something. When you do the conferences, there are costs involved and there's time cost involved. And so that was just the year where I just said, okay, this is what I get to do now. And it's just been wonderful.
Amazing. That's great. So what parts of the self-publishing process have you enjoyed?
Oh, I've loved every part of it. You guys are just make it such a streamlined process. What would have been overwhelming for me learning all the technical aspects of it, you guys have made smoother. Um, just learning how to do KDP, how to get your ISBNs from Valker, just your little checklist. I'm a checklist girl, so that really has helped. Uh, I loved working with Cassidy on the artwork and just throwing ideas out at her and then just seeing how she ran with them. And that was just so fun. I just loved that because that's just something I could never do. The art side, or even the formatting side. The way you guys format things is just beautiful. I had read a few books and I didn't even realize that you guys were the formatters. Julie Sellers, Yes, Father.
Mm.
And there were two others, a Bible study by Abigail Wallace, and then Janet Hart Leonard's book, her memoir. And I was just so impressed with the quality of those books. And you guys did all of them. And I was just like, oh, I have to reach out to Taryn. And this year was the year that it all worked out. So I just really appreciate it.
Amazing. That's great. So I assume that everyone faces some challenges in the self-publishing journey. Would you mind sharing what those were specifically for you and how you overcame them?
My biggest challenge is, like I said, the perfectionism is definitely up there. And I realize it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And um, the biggest thing I think is finding your people, because when you write a book, it starts out as just your project, but then it turns into a group project. And to be able to trust other people with your baby is it's so important to be able to let go and let other people take off with those things and just fly with them. And that was probably the hardest thing, but I trusted you guys. And so when it came back to my insecurities about the book or the finished project, I knew I trusted you, and I knew you knew what you were doing. And so I just really appreciate that.
Amazing. I'm glad we could help make those bumps a little bit smoother for you.
Yes,
That's
you
great.
did.
So you've touched on it already, working with us, but what parts of this whole process did you do yourself versus what did you hire out?
Um, like I said, my mom is a published author, so she edited my book. I had beta readers read it first. So I gave copies, I printed off and gave copies in binders so people could write in it. They could make notes if there's anything that I hadn't conveyed that needed to be conveyed about the storyline or the characters, or if they wanted to hear more about particular things. They did that. Some of them edited it as well, did line edits for me, so that was really helpful. And so after I worked through all of that work, then I went and I was brave enough to give it to my mom, because she has her master's in creative writing. This is what she did. And she worked in public relations after that as well. And so I gave it to her, and she did her magic on it and got it back to me. And then I worked through that. So it was I didn't have to pay for those things, which was wonderful. And then you guys on your website, you talk about the pro writing aid. So that was the last line of edits that I ran it through. And that was incredibly helpful, just for picking up any other little things. And I still missed a few things. So any errors in this book are totally on me. They're not on you guys, because it looks phenomenal. But I noticed some small ones that I missed. And so anyway, I probably should have paid for a line editing as well. That probably would have been a good investment. And now I know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Even the most meticulously edited book always has some things in it, right? You think even all of the traditionally published books you've read,
Yes.
how often you
Yes.
find something in there, right? It's
Yes.
amazing how many hands can hold this thing and
Yes.
those still slip through.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, it's hard for us when we want perfection, though.
It is hard. It is
Yeah.
hard, but it's good. It's like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's the first one. I'm learning.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned, maybe paying for, line editing in the future. Is there anything else you would change about your self-publishing journey?
I don't think so. I had participated in a couple of book launches over the last year and a half, from when I finished my book to when I even submitted it to you guys. I wanted to learn about the marketing side, because that's totally different than the creative writing side, and something I was totally new to and I didn't know about until I joined Hope Writers. And so I got on some art teams for some books that I just loved, so I could see how they approached that. And I wanted it to build something like that. And I was able to, but I wanted to keep it very light and very fun, and not not too many tasks for them to do, just fun, simple things that if they enjoyed the book already, I wanted it to be out of a genuine joy of wanting to support this project, not obligation. And I was just really blessed to get over 50 people. And that was my goal. I was praying for at least 50 to be on my art team. And the Lord gave me more than that. And so it's just been really sweet. And I appreciate all the support from everybody.
That's great. Awesome. So you're still sort of fresh in this process, but so far, what benefits have you experienced by self-publishing?
I think the benefits are that I got to design the cover with artists. I got to have feedback in how it was going to be laid out. And because it is a speculative Christian fiction, it's a series, there can be continuity in how I want the future covers to look. And I get to have a say in that, which I wouldn't get to do if I was traditionally published. And I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur anyway, that just felt natural for me to just go ahead and take this on and do it. And I'm a control freak. I'm a self-confessed control freak. I totally wanted to be involved with the artwork and the layout and all of that. And it still, it took me a long time to get through the beta and the edits. It wasn't a faster process for me to do it this route because of quite a bit of life curveballs that came my way, but it has been just so much fun, and just I loved working with you guys and with Cassidy. It was great.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. So there are probably some viewers here that stumbled across the series because they're considering self-publishing and aren't sure about it. What would you say to those people?
Oh, I'd say go ahead and do it. If it I know some people want to be traditionally published as well, and you need to follow what the dream is of your heart. And I had totally intentioned this year to start approaching agents and writing those query letters, and I was learning how to do all of that. And then my dad had a stroke, and so he's now in my home full time. And that was just another layer that I wasn't willing to take on right now, because I wanted to have the love and the energy to be able to take care of him properly. And so, it just depends on what your life holds for you and what direction you want to go. There's no wrong way to do this. There are so many ways to publish, and you have to follow what your heart is telling you to do, and what you feel comfortable doing.
That's so encouraging, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I know this is going to be so helpful for people just to have heard your story and hear that encouragement. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Taryn.
Absolutely. For those watching, I'd love it if you subscribe to our channel to make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming stories in our series. And also be sure to check out Sarah's book below. We'll link that there. And feel free to leave a comment just letting us know what stood out to you and, maybe what encouraged you or inspired you in this interview. Just grateful for everyone that has joined us for this series. We can't do this alone, and this is part of it. So thank you all so much for watching. Bye.